Today I'm going to talk, my name of my talk is Dream Bigger. Not just dream big, but dream bigger. And I got the idea of this talk from something an early teacher of mine said. He said that if you don't challenge yourself, if you don't have a big enough dream, life will challenge it for you. And so you might as well make your choices consciously. And so I heard that, and through the years I've been thinking about that a lot. And it occurred to me that what's really going on is we're kids, right? When we're kids, when we're first born and we come into this world, we come in with these big dreams. We play them out as kids. Doctors, astronauts, explorers, President of the United States, all these different huge dreams that we have as kids. And we play with them and we go around, and then along comes the two words that are the biggest dream killers ever invented by man. And those words are, be realistic. Every kid hears that one way or another. Be realistic. And then what happens is our dreams shrink. And unbeknownst to us, so do we. We forget that we are these huge, powerful, creative, spiritual beings that can create huge. And we've tried to fit ourselves into these little boxes to be realistic. Dream killer. That happened to me. I experienced this when my son's mother got pregnant. I thought it was time to be realistic. I went and got a job in insurance, which it turned out I was very, very good at. Sold a lot of it. Bought this gorgeous farmhouse on a lake with about an acre of property. And the lake was the kind of lake where they didn't allow motorboats. It was pristine. And so from the outside, it looked like I had this incredible life. And every day I was saying to myself, is this as good as it gets? Is this it? Other people were like envying my life, and I was just going, is this it? And so it dawned on me through the years as I was thinking about that, it wasn't long after that, well, it was a few years after that, that I wound up in the hospital with only 5 days left to live. And I've been looking back on that event. Well, they told me I only had 5 days to live. Obviously, that's not what happened. But I look back on that event and I think this is what actually goes on. I think that when we start to shrink, when we start to be realistic, our higher self, our soul's intention is still there. Those original huge dreams are still there. And so our soul's intention is going, so it's not life that challenges us. I think it's us that challenges us, to remind us. Because it has become clear to me that we are not challenged with anything that we do not have the resources to live, to overcome, to grow beyond, to evolve beyond. That we have that within us. We are that large, no matter what it is we're confronted with. So if we don't create that challenge, we don't take on a big enough dream that does it, our soul's intention is sitting there going, I'm here. I'm here when you're ready. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep reminding you how powerful you are by giving you challenges that then you need to be big to overcome. And I got to tell you, being told I only had 5 days to live, I had to grow pretty big to get beyond that. With all these doctors, a room full of doctors telling me, that's it for you. Get your affairs in order, you're done. We can't do anything else for you. It really calls forth, right? You know, something like that happens, it calls forth something. It called forth something in me, given I'm still standing here before you. For the second time, given, it just happened again, I guess I have to do things twice. I fell off a mountain twice. I don't know. I'm a slow learner, it would seem. So I think that's what's going on in our lives. And it isn't that we don't have challenges, whether they're from our soul's intention or life or however you want to hold it. I've been homeless, so I know what it is to be in a survival mode. But what I learned from that time when I was saying to myself, is this all there is? Is this as good as it gets? Was that no. That was just another step in the path that got me to here. Now, it's easy to see that in retrospect, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have to wait for retrospect. You might want to take my word for it and grow a bigger dream that's already in you, by the way. The one you had as a kid, you have been, if you haven't brought it to full fruition, you've been kind of playing along with it in a more, what looks to you as a realistic way. For those who have that dream when they were kids of being the explorer, maybe you take a lot of vacations to interesting places in the world. For those of you who have that healer thing going on from when you were a kid, thought you were going to be, the way in which we frame things as kids is from a kid's perspective. But the quality of the dream itself is not. That is your soul's perspective. I've heard people ask, well, I don't know what my purpose is. And I say to you, you've been doing it all along. Probably in ways you haven't even noticed. Like, for instance, are you the person at your corporate office that everybody comes to when they have problems to talk to? Do you give a great shoulder rub? There are ways in which we are doing these things. Do you play a sport on the weekend because competition? One of the interesting be realistic ones is the hippies from the 60s who then had kids, and when their kids wanted to do competitive things, they would say, be realistic, the world is about peace and cooperation. I still see it on Facebook all the time. Don't be competitive, be cooperative. Well, wait a minute. There are people who are actually born with a competitive spirit. Don't they get to act that out? Don't they get to fulfill that dream? When I was a kid, I heard the term warmongers. I think of the term now as peacemongers. People who think everybody should be as peaceful, because that's what the world needs, instead of allowing for who we really are and each person having their own fulfillment. And it could be in a good way. But if you're a person who was told, wait a minute, you're not allowed to be competitive, you have to be cooperative, maybe you stuff that down. But it's still there. Your desire to be great, because that's what it really is, right? To be great. Artists dream as kids when they're drawing. It's the next Picasso. And then somebody comes along and goes, your talent, be more realistic. And yet it's still in you. All these big dreams. And so there's certain aspects to big dreams I want to talk to you about. Because they're not about, some people like me, when I got the house and I got the job and had the kid, thought dreams were about what we get. Like somebody might consider being a billionaire a big dream. It's not. Or having a big house and a bank account full of money. Those are not big dreams. The big dream is the gift you brought to life, making an impact on the world. It's not what you get, it's what you give. When we think about how big an impact each of us can have, that alone makes a ton of people shrink. Like what I said the other week about the thing I saw on Facebook that said, "What can I do? I'm only one person," said 1 billion people. We all have the ability to have impact, but we've been told all our lives, be realistic, and so we shrink from that which we have brought forward, from that which is ours to give. And then the other thing about it is we think we have to see the result of our giving. Well, the definition of spiritual maturity is the ability to plant seeds. You will never be under the shade of that tree. You'll never live long enough to see that tree grow and sit under it. That's spiritual maturity. And so we come here to plant seeds of the gift we brought to bring, whatever that is, for each of us. And each of you has one. Each of us has a gift. It may be similar to others, like, we have the general term healer, but it's yours. The way you do it is different than anybody else can do it on the planet. Sometimes in the circle at the beginning, we have a circle here that happens for all those who volunteer around 10 o'clock. And in that circle, sometimes I remember to remind folks that simply because we showed up, people are healed. And because they're healed, they go out and then touch other people's lives, and then they are healed. Who then touch other people's lives, and then they are healed. And in this way, we impact the world. But you don't see it. I don't see it. There's people who have been impacted by my talks. I got a tithe the other day from somebody. I had even no idea they had watched one of my talks, and they just wanted to thank me for what I had put out there. We don't know. You're having a conversation with somebody in line at the drugstore, and they were in down mood, and you just said just the right thing that changed their lives. And they went home in a better mood because of you, who then talked to somebody else because they were in a better mood and changed their lives, who then talked to somebody else who changed their lives. And this is going on all the time. You have a gift. Dream bigger. Dream bigger about the impact of your gift. You don't have to even see it come to fruition. One of the things that happened once I started pursuing what I thought was my gift to bring was I didn't always see it come to fruition. But I noticed that the journey itself was way more fulfilling. You want a dream that's so big, it brings a glint to your eye, a smile to your lips, and gets your heart fluttering. You want a dream so big that it overwhelms you and you have no idea how to do it. If it seems doable, it's not big enough. That's how you want to dream. It's worth living that way. Because then all of a sudden things come out of it that you don't even, you never even imagined. Or you can be realistic. It's your call. But I am inviting you to dream bigger, to grow. And then deal with whatever your next step is. Because that's the thing, right? You can have this huge dream and then just take whatever the next step is in front of you. Sometimes we take steps that have nothing to do or look like, I shouldn't say they have nothing to do with our big dream, because I want you to know that if you pick a big enough dream and it brings that smile to your lips and it brings that glint to your eye and your heart's fluttering and you keep that in mind. Like if I had done that while I was selling insurance, I would have known, no, that's not as good as it gets. I would have known, no, there were definitely next steps for me to take. And I probably wouldn't have had to walk down that road to where doctors were saying, you're going to be dead in 5 days. So I'm trying to save some of you from going down that road. Dream bigger. So you have that glint, but then you take the next step. And you don't know whether this next step is actually leading. You know, the road, we have this thing in our society that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Well, I don't know anybody's life who has actually taken that straight line, so I don't know what they're talking about. Right? So we don't know, just because the next step is going this way and we thought our dream was that way, how it's going to circle around. But somehow it does when we hold that focus that this is our dream. And that's what happened for me. I had no idea. I've told you this a million, I know I say this, but I'm just so astounded how I wound up here. I mean, it was just the craziest thing. The route that from that day, you know, when I think about lying in my bed waiting to die, to here, and all the things that have happened here, and the route that took, and all the crazy turns that led here. And maybe you can notice that for your own life. But if you hold your dream, and it's big enough, it'll be your North Star. And even when the North Star is there and it looks like you're walking this way, you got to know that somehow your soul's intention is leading you around. Some friends of mine, they were rushing to a ceremony. And they'd left late. And they were freaking out because they had left late. And so because the people at the ceremony, you know, being late was bad and wrong, all those kinds of words. And then all of a sudden, there was this horrible accident where people died that they came up to, that if they had left on time, they would have been in. You just don't know when something's going on how it's going to support you in what happens next. But when we try to judge it and we think we know, then we limit ourselves and we get into that framework of be realistic, the dream killer. Instead of knowing that somehow this supports me in getting where I want to go. People, at the times in my life I have struggled most in survival mode, I look back on those times now and realize it was just a reminder of how big and powerful I really am. Because obviously I'm not in survival mode now. And so the things that happen, the circumstances that come up, can look like you need to be realistic, lower your dream, lower your expectations, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, I'm inviting you, don't do it. The bigger you dream, the better your chance of having a life that is fulfilling, loving, and beautiful. Even if you never see that dream realized. That's really the key to what I'm saying here today. You don't need to see your dream realized to have it impact your life in a way that feels fulfilling and magnificent. So yesterday, several months ago, a group of your leadership sat down with me and we went through an 8-week process of bringing forth that which was most important to our community. We followed the teachings of a book called Good to Great. And in there it talks about something called a big, hairy, audacious goal. And after 8 weeks of process, we came up with one that we thought really represented everybody here, was huge. And then we took that into a workshop yesterday to come up with a purpose, vision, and mission statement. I'm going to run a little long today, but I figure you guys really want to know about this. A purpose statement is our reason for being. It's why we exist. It's why the center is here. It's not a vision, and it's not a mission statement. And so the 70 people were invited to yesterday's workshop, the members, people who were voting members to have say in this. 16 people showed up. Dedicated people who put in their work to what we came up with for our center. Can I have the first slide, please? So the purpose of this center, what we are putting forth as the purpose of this center, is to awaken consciousness through spiritual community. That's what I'm up here each week speaking to. That's what we're doing our best to develop here. It is why this center exists, as we have come to know it through the process of what we've done here. We're really excited about this. Can you imagine a spiritual community that has fully awakened their consciousness? Everybody who comes through these doors. It's a large purpose. It's one we may or may not ever see realized. But it's certainly one worth being in. The next we did was our vision. A loving, thriving, transformational community. Now here, the word community feels different to me than just here. I think of the world. Right? I want to see a loving, thriving, transformational world. That's what I want to live in. That's what I want to be in. Now, I'm thinking I'm probably never going to see that realized in my lifetime. Those are the odds. But planting the seeds of that, going after that, man, is that worth it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? This is big stuff. This is larger than each of us as an individual. But this is another thing about if your dream's big enough, it's larger than you. This is certainly larger than me. Larger than any of us who were sitting there yesterday. But it sure brought a glint to my eye, a smile to my lips, and a flutter to my heart. And so the next statement is how we're going to accomplish this. And that's our mission. We teach spiritual practices that create joy-filled lives. Because that's what we want for all of you. A joy-filled life. I want you to love life. And if you're not, let us teach you what we know in terms of how it's done. Because we do have practices here that actually work to support you in evolving your life into being joy-filled, into experiencing the miraculousness, to experiencing the wonder, to experiencing the beauty that is truly possible for each and every one of us. Dream bigger. This is what we did for here. It's your time to delve into yourself as to what's your bigger dream. Maybe, and the odds are, make it big enough so it's so large that whether it comes to fruition in your lifetime or not doesn't matter. Pursuing it is worth it. That's really the key here. It brings a smile to your face, glint in your eye, flutter in your heart, and you have no idea how to get it done. Take the next step. Take the time to come to that bigger dream. It's worth it. It really fills you, man. I gotta tell you, every time I show up here, I'm so filled just being in front of you. Just knowing that we're on this course together, walking this way of building, of touching lives, of bringing forth the divine that is each of us. I love you all. Thank you.